American, immigrant, and expatriate. Lena is passionate about a free Palestine, the perfect cup of coffee, poetry, language, and gardening. Lena Khalaf Tuffaha.
Thank you. Just making sure there was an appropriate short person adjustment. Very important. This is amazing. I think collaboration among artists is one of the most beautiful things in the world, and this just feels like a massive love fest to art and to the relationships that we build with each other through art. So thank you to everyone who made tonight possible. I'm just really overwhelmed. Mentioned gardening in my bio, and I want to say that I'm wearing this necklace, which is made of these red poppy flowers. And in my culture, in Palestinian culture, the red poppy symbolizes all of our martyrs. On the hills of Palestine, like in many Mediterranean places, these flowers grow wild in the spring. So you can see kind of swaths of red in March and April, streaked across hillsides. It's beautiful and really moving to think about what they have come to mean over decades and centuries to the people who are native to that land. And one of the ways I've been thinking about the grief of this time, of this genocide time that we're living, is that we are sort of surrounded by these gardens of people we've lost. So that there's more than one way to think about that flower, right? I say that not to bring down the mood, as it were, but because I think one of the most important things an artist must do is to insist on the truth. And I learned that from many artists who I respect and admire, chief among them the great American poet June Jordan, who is a beacon and a light in my literary education. And I spent a lot of time thinking about June and reading her work by myself, because nobody ever taught me any June Jordan poems in any of the classrooms I was in. I had to find her accidentally and by myself. But that's fine, because June and I have been having a terrific conversation ever since. June, in the year of our Lord, 1982, when the Israeli occupation forces invaded and besieged the city of Beirut and ransacked it and drove Palestinian resistance fighters out literally onto boats in the sea. Sound familiar? June was one of, like maybe no other, I don't think there was another American poet really who wrote about that in her magnificent book, Living Room. And there are multiple poems, but the one specifically that lodged in my heart the first time I read it was Moving Toward Home, in which she says, "I was born a black woman and I am become a Palestinian. It is time to make our way home." So that's a little bit about how the poem Letter to June Jordan in September came to be, and I'll start with that. Letter to June Jordan in September. I cannot pass the anniversary of that first news event of childhood without returning to your poem. How from my house I watched, and watched my grief-stricken parents unable to speak. How I leaned into the screen, the chords of the cries, searching for what was recognizable of fingers and thighs, of bracelets and mustaches, macabre arrangement of bodies with names like our own. I cannot pass without your words. Something about witnessing twice removed, about distances magnified by the shift into language, of dailiness and my own children's vernacular, and the machine grinding us all in its jaws. I met a girl from the camp at a reading in Beirut. She asked if we could talk about the life of poetry. Our families are hauled off to the world of the dead, and every day it is on screen. In Gaza, we're watching Ferguson, and in Atlanta, we're watching Jerusalem, watching Minneapolis, watching. Their weapons and their training programs indistinguishable. The word almost flickers for a nanosecond. Here, I note the shelf life of self-censorship, legacy of our era. Some days, poems are scrawled on pieces of cardboard and carried on our shoulders at the protest like martyrs. Here, I should say something about hope. Here, I should say something about living. Thank you, thank you. Now I'll just do two more. I'm gonna do one that I don't think I've read before. Exciting. This is sort of a, you know how like you can have a quirky cousin or a quirky child? This is the quirky cousin poem. She's just her own, I don't know, she's an interesting thing. A couple things about this poem. The word for bougainvillea in Arabic is majnoune, which means crazy woman. Unpack that for hours, days, whatever. And the majnoune that I most often would see when I would visit either Palestine or Amman, where my grandparents' home is, I mean, it grows everywhere, but especially on the drive down to the Dead Sea. It's a beautiful, very stark landscape, and that area is where a lot of citrus fruit groves are, and there are these kind of limestone homes with these bright, beautiful bougainvilleas exploding on the walls there. And I note also that the Dead Sea, which is this mineral-rich, incredible natural wonder, on the Jordanian side is disappearing. And it's not because of climate change. It's because of the Israelis stealing the water from the Dead Sea. So those are two little things that you might need to know for this poem. Madwoman Ghazal. It is true we named our own sea dead, but in the houses nearby, the bougainvillea flourishes. On the shore, we call this marvel majnoune. The sea is a body keening, glistening in sunlit flourishes. The tree loosening long branches over the wall is always a woman. In the sea's azure declination, a mineral kingdom flourishes. Sulfur sorrow, fishless stillness is our sea. Around the tree, the desert unfolds in sweltering flourishes. In midday, our sea is a silver tray, salt-crusted. In midday, the majnoune pulses with Apian flourishes. Middle ground, mirror glass, is our sea. Dry as paper lanterns, the fuchsia blossoms flourish. A missive from what survives us, our vanishing sea. Names climb the wall and evaporate in whispered flourishes. From a distance, the network of veins, lines in elaborate display are invisible. The walls nest beneath bright clusters in cascading flourishes. And do your leathered hands darken to the color of this earth? Inkpots and weathered scrolls rely on this leaden air to flourish. All madness is conjecture. A shepherd stumbling upon sacred verses. The sea is ringed by a story told with fiery flourishes. Majnoune is obstinate charm, is love a flame. Speak salt, and let them decide the landscape where memory flourishes. Thank you. And I'll end with, you know, like maybe a little bit of anger. I think that might be appropriate. Sah? So this was just a poem I wrote with Edward Said in mind, one of my heroes. But I have come, when I read it these days, I think of myself as pointing it at whatever politician is most pissing me off right now. And this week's award winner is Hillary Clinton. Jeez, oh my God, what is her problem? Yeah, I know we have a set of villains we're focused on at the moment, but I just want everybody to remember that the Democrats first started this genocide. And then before the genocide was the slow genocide, et cetera, et cetera. So anyway, today I point this at the likes of Hillary Clinton. To be self-evident, after Edward Said. Every empire tells its subjects a story of revelation. The trees let down their aging leaves, listless in late drought. The children thrive on filtration, their classroom air and their selfies sanitized. Every empire seems invincible as its borders submerge, its manicured hillsides incinerate between guaranteed next-day deliveries. Every empire eulogizes its value system, splurges for pyrotechnics, decorates its mausoleums for the holidays. Every empire turns against its colonies, cradling the embassy's crystal in bubble wrap, packing extra treats for the dogs on the evacuation flight home. Every empire promises a revolution against itself. The children are tasked with designing the future, growing walls of hydroponic greens, rebranding old protest anthems. Every empire denies the iceberg it crashes into, hires a chorus, funds the arts. Every empire sings itself a lullaby. Thank you.
Lena Khalaf Tuffaha.